Well, thanks for joining us. You're watching the World News Reports on CRTV News. Now, the intensifying climate emergency is displacing millions worldwide, and with a climate summit coming up next month in Glasgow, environmental enthusiasts, world and religious leaders are also pushing for more concrete actions towards the climate crisis at the pre-COP26 summit, setting the stage for the summit proper as it begins from November 1 to November 12. Now, joining me on set now is a communication expert who also doubles as the Chief Operating Officer for for Game Changers. Game Changers is a group or a network of environmental activists in Cameroon. Hello and welcome to the program, Beverly Defoyne.
Thank you very much, Gladys. Thanks for having me.
So, well, to begin with, we just want for the benefit of our audience, what do we actually know about the climate summit, especially COP26?
Okay, COP26 is actually the abbreviation for Conference of Parties, and 26 stands for the 26th edition. So COP26 is actually a multilateral stage where different countries come together to table the actions they are taking in their different governments to tackle the climate crisis. So we're talking of close to 200 countries coming together to talk about the climate crisis and what we can do to mitigate the crisis.
Now, what are some of these issues or the crises that would be addressed in this summit? What should we be expecting? Is it going to be about the global heat in Australia, or drought in Madagascar and Somalia, or the flooding in some parts of Europe and the Sahel region?
Okay, as regards COP26, we should be looking forward to, there are actually objectives that have been set for COP26, and we should be looking forward to countries coming together. I mean, it's not just about particular countries, it's about so many countries coming together to talk about what is my country doing, what are the steps that we are taking to be able to mitigate the climate crisis. So it's going to be about countries coming together and each country talking about what they are doing, what's the plan to be able to redress the climate crisis that is closing in on us so rapidly.
Now, talking about countries highlighting their own issues they're facing and how to mitigate it, Game Changers from Cameroon, you were part of the pre-COP26 for youth. You were represented there. So what issues are you bringing to the table from Cameroon? What are your objectives?
Thank you very much. So Game Changers, like you say, is a movement that was created or is led by Patundango and myself, Beverly. And our objective is to be able to take actions at our own level to be able to mitigate the climate crisis. And participating in the pre-COP activity, which took place in Italy, and we were able to watch because it was streamed live to us here, was an immense opportunity because it's an opportunity for young people. It was Youth for Climate, and it was an opportunity for us to be able to talk about our expectations towards COP. It was an opportunity for us to express what we're doing so far and also look forward to the things that are going to be discussed at COP and how our voices can get in to the table and how we can also be able to access the finance that is going to help vulnerable communities to adapt to the climate change that is all over the world.
Now, we've been talking a lot about, let's go into the specifics. What action are you actually for in order to contribute enormously in the fight against climate change?
Thank you. So, first of all, I'm an environmental journalist and I'm working with an environmental engineer. And Game Changers is under the banner of an organization called CLSV Foundation, which is a recycling foundation. And the aim is to be able to recycle some of the waste that we have, like organic waste, plastic waste, into reusable items. And how we're doing, particularly with Game Changers, is that we intend to mobilize at least 1 million commitments by the end of 2022 to the climate agenda, especially non-state actors. We're talking about businesses, SMEs, non-governmental organizations, taking concrete action. So we have a commitment form that they get to fill, stating clearly what they are going to be doing, especially those companies that deal a lot with fossil fuels and emissions of carbon into the atmosphere. So we're trying to mobilize at least 1 million non-state actors by the end of 2022 to tell us exactly what they are doing to tackle the climate crisis. Meanwhile, we're also collaborating with other recycling companies to be able to clear our environments from the plastic wastes for recycling.
But you know, Beverly, one thing here is why is it that we're unable to change the course of the climate crisis, knowing fully well that this is not the first time we are talking about all of these issues, and you're not the first to get involved in recycling of waste?
Exactly. That question actually gets me thinking, because when we hear COP26, it means there have been 25 other conferences. And we are like, what was discussed in those other 25 conferences?
Are they of any importance?
Exactly. And how many more conferences do we need to have? And is this COP26 even the last nail? It's not the last nail on the head of the climate crisis. I see COP26 more of as a starter blueprint for more action. So this is not like we are the first talking about climate crisis. We are just trying to accelerate the rate at which we are trying to mitigate the crisis, because it's closing in on us. We can already see the droughts, the floods, and all the wildfires everywhere, and there is more coming if we do not take concrete action in now. So that's why we are here, to accelerate the pace. It's true that people are doing things already, but we need to accelerate it because the climate crisis is closing in on us really rapidly.
We're seeing more and more youths getting involved in the fight against climate change. And now, recently, just to get your opinion, seeing that religious leaders are coming together to also ask for concrete actions from government, world leaders towards the climate crisis. What reaction do you have to this? Well, the fact that we have youths, not just government or climate experts, but we have young people. We've seen Greta Thunberg, who has been in the fight quite, and she's quite, let's say, inspiring to her fellows. Now, what reaction do you have on this, that we have youth and also religious leaders getting involved?
Well, I think that it's amazing to get everyone on board. To get the youths on board is amazing, because when you hear of any movement or any practical, energetic movement anywhere in the world, it would be a youth that is championing it. We're young, we're vibrant, and we're supposed to make use of our energy. And including youths, not just bringing youth to the table, but bringing them as equal partners to the table, to be able to forge ahead the conversations that will take us to the point where we are below 1.5 degrees in temperatures, and that is what we're aiming for, especially at COP26. So I see youth participation as key, which is really, really fundamental, because youth are the ones, they say we are the leaders of tomorrow. I think we're leaders of today, we're partners of today. So we need to be in the cause of action, and that is where we come in as game changers. And religious organizations, I don't see why they should be excluded. I think it's absolutely necessary for everyone to onboard this, because it's a global crisis. When it hits, no one is going to be spared. So everyone needs to be on board. And
what message does Game Changers have for our audience?
Well, the message I have for everyone watching, especially youths, is that we should not ignore this crisis. It's difficult to go talking to someone in some remote village who only cares about what they want to eat, and you start talking to them about climate change. But we fail to understand that we are vulnerable to food insecurity if we do not tackle the climate crisis. So I'm encouraging everyone to onboard on this climate agenda. And at your own individual level, you should be able to do something concrete. It could just be separating waste at home, because we have a lot of junk waste, to make it easy for companies that pick up these wastes even to go and try to recycle the waste or treat the waste. So if you can just separate maybe your plastics from decomposable waste, that would be great at your own level. So it's important. I encourage everyone to participate at their own individual levels, at home, at office, even anywhere you find yourself, even the way you litter, I was shocked the other day that we had a waste management conference, and after the conference, there were plastics all over the table, and I was like, there's still so much work to be done. The mindset is still not towards the climate crisis. So if we can be coming from a waste management conference and yet we can still find the plastics they've littered all over the place after listening to that information, then there's work to be done. So I encourage everyone to onboard. Game Changers is not excluding anyone. So you can join the Game Changers team and we move together.
Well, people need to be more conscious about the environment in order for us to live healthy and also have a sustainable economy.
Yes.
Well, Beverly Devine, environmental journalist and Chief Operating Officer at Game Changers. Thanks for coming, and we hope to have you another time.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're going to take a breather, and when we come back, time for our top stories.